Hello and welcome to my Swordmaster guide for 3 hopes. In this guide we're going to go over the attacks the Swordmaster has, some tactics for the Swordmaster class, and the abilities it has as well. So let's go over some basic things first. So it is a sword class, as you would expect. It is strong against axes and weak to lances, based on the weapon triangle. Class action can be charged with X. Has a single charge gauge, so you just hold X, then you'll charge it. And you actually you're not able to move. You can aim it though, and when you use the class action, you'll leap forward and slash, and if you charge it, you'll leap forward, slash, and do a flurry of attacks. So that is the difference between the charged and uncharged version. Okay, so that's everything about the class action. So for the attack notes, so your basic Y attack is a kind of like downward slash. Even though it's a downward slash, it still hits a bunch of enemies in front of you. That's true for most attacks in this game. Your second Y is an upward slash. Both of these are for lower damage. So if I whack this warlock over here, you can see they're kind of for lower damage. Then you have your third Y, which is a quick stab. So there it is there. Quick stab. Your fourth Y is a horizontal slash for medium damage. So that's the fourth Y. Show one more time. Kind of hard to see because of the fire effect there. So that's the last hit on that chain that I just did there. Your fifth Y is a dual slash for medium damage. So you can kind of see there, it's a quick dual slash. Your sixth Y, downward slash for medium damage. Right there, and so at the end of there. So that's a sixth Y, and then your final seventh Y, horizontal launcher finisher for medium damage. So I'm just going to go through the chain. There it is. Launch those enemies back. Also note that this class, as you're attacking, moves around quite a bit. So you're able to dodge some attacks while attacking, which is extremely useful in this game, just for avoiding chip damage. So, okay. Let's go over the X attacks now. So we already went over the charge, the class action. So X to just do a slash and a launch, or I'm sorry, a leap into a slash, horizontal slash, and then hold it, charge it to do the same thing. But then also on landing, you'll let out that flurry of slashes. Then you have your YX, which is a launcher, pretty quick launcher. Okay, so there's your YX. Then you have YYX, which does a kick and then a slash. So YYX does a kick and then a slash. One thing I'm noticing, oh, is that Crest? What does Crest of Fraldarius do? I'm noticing like I keep getting like these extra attacks, and I think it might be Felix's thing. Just making sure that it's not the class I'm playing as. How do I check unit info? Alright, let's see. What does his crest do? I feel like it's giving him extra attacks. Okay, just has a, okay, increased damage of attacks, okay. Alright, let me see something. Yeah, one thing I'm noticing is sometimes he'll just do like an extra attack without a button press. So, well, let's look at class notes really quick, just to make sure we're not missing anything from the class itself. These notes are useful for some information, but they don't have everything in it. Okay, we know that. Sword arts will be strengthened. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, okay. So this is one thing that's easy to forget about this class. So, alright, if you do a fully charged attack with your class action, and that can even be at the tail end of another heavy attack, but I'll just demo it. So if I do a fully charged attack, and then I do like YX, it does an extra attack. So this class is very combo heavy. Oh, Constance is dying. Well, here, just go here instead. This class is very combo heavy, and that you essentially always want to be getting off these fully charged class actions, and they give you bonus attacks. So everything is about combos. But there's an easier way to get them out. So instead of just sitting there and fully charging, you never want to do this. To get your like bonus attack at the tail end of heavy attacks, what you want to do instead is hit X after a heavy attack, and you'll immediately do the charge version. So Y, X, X, and now we have it. So that gets you that immediately. So it's a very combo heavy class that does pretty good damage. Alright, so let's finish going over the X attacks. Okay. So YYX, I'm sorry, 3YX does a heavy upward slash with like a wave.
Who do you think I am?
Holy shit, that hit me for like 2k. I'm like focusing on the thing getting hit pretty hard. 4YX is also an upward slash. So you can see it there. So it's just kind of like a launcher. And then 5YX does a fast forward thrust followed by rapid flurry of kind of range stabs. So it does that. Kind of pushes enemies back. So that's what it does. And then 6YX, fast arcing slash followed by residual flurry of slashes that hits somewhat far away. So there's that. Kind of hits kind of far away. And also note that if I do, for example, YX, X, and I have this aura around me, that's the boost from the class for my next heavy attack. So whatever my next heavy attack is will have an additional effect. So let's go over all these additional effects. So let's just do a YX. So YX with the boost creates the second shockwave that's like a rock appears. So I'm just going to do this just to charge it up. And then let's do YYX. So it has these like extra slashes. Okay. Alright, let's do 3YX. So it creates like shock waves and attacks at range. That's kind of useful. Alright, now let's do 4YX. So it does a second slash. So it does an upward slash and then a second slash. Alright, 5YX. So it does like a thrust after the initial hit. So this is the boost from getting the fully charged class action. It affects every single attack differently for your heavy attacks, and it boosts all of them just for one hit. So let's do the 6YX. So it does the exact same thing as the normal 6Y, but it also adds 2 slashes. So you can get a lot of compressed damage by actively building these. And when you're using combos, honestly, almost every hit, you should be getting your class action off. It's just free damage. You have like pretty good mobility while doing it. So you basically should just always be boosting your heavy attacks. Dang, these dudes are annoying as fuck. The grappler guys, I actually think they're one of the more annoying enemies because they just keep punching you, obviously. But I'm just trying to show like these attacks, so I might like be playing like horribly inefficient for some of this. Okay, so class tactics. So dodge, so you get behind enemies to get to the side of them. So like for example, bait out attacks. Try to attack at an angle, so you're hitting them with the edge of the hitbox, so that you're kind of far away from them, giving you time to dodge, especially if their attacks are short range. Also note that your class action can cause you to overcommit. which, you know, can lead to you taking damage. But you're also a very combo-heavy class that can armor break very easily because of how many hits you get out. So, like, this can be a huge advantage of this class. The class action constantly has, like, a high volume of like, physical hits. Like, sometimes the damage isn't as important as, like, the amount of attacks. The amount of attacks tends to correlate to faster armor break. Alright, let's fight this guy.
We'll be in a good position if we can capture this stronghold.
Alright, let's see how fast we can break his armor. Oh, it already went away. Cheap combat arts are really good to use. Wrath Strike's a good one to use just because it lets you shut enemies down and then just start comboing the shit out of them. Then once you get an armor break, usually enemies are going to die pretty quickly after that. Okay. So dodge the side to begin combos. Start hitting enemies when they can't hit you. Basic stuff like this. Use combat arts to open up enemies, get a chain going. Press X after heavy attack to execute fully charged class action. So we kind of already went over that. So it's really useful to do that because it also boosts your other heavy attacks, like your future heavy attacks. So you can essentially have constantly boosted heavy attacks. So for example, this class is really good at chasing things because your class action moves you forward with an attack. So if you launch an enemy, you can always chase after it. This is kind of like the circular motion I was referencing earlier, where you just move around enemies in a circular fashion while attacking. Pretty useful. Good way to avoid damage. Okay. So YXX are pretty good, and YYXX are decent. YX is pretty fast. Just comes out pretty quick. And then YYX is decent as well, just for like getting... So let's like test this. So just YX. Oops. Hit X early. Your normal attacks are actually really good because you attack so fast and you can move around things. So normal attacks can be good, and then you just like finish with a chain when an enemy commits. Can't go wrong doing that. What you don't want to do is commit to like a class action and then be hittable, like be in a position where an enemy's about to hit you. So you always want to wait for them to commit first, and then you punish their commitment, essentially. So 5Y and 6YX, and then X, like your class action, can do pretty good damage, pretty huge damage. So you could like build it up on fodder, and then hit with like a big attack. But you'd want to charge your class action first. So like YXX is a pretty good way to get your class action going, and then you'd build up on fodder. See like a huge combo. So there's that. Let's see. Class action can juggle armor, or can juggle and break armor well due to the amount of times it hits in a short period of time. Class action can result in getting hit due to commitment. These are just the notes I have, so I'm kind of going off of these and kind of going off the gameplay. Attack at an angle and move away from enemies while hitting them with the edge of the hitbox to avoid passive damage. So this is true of every single class. You want to do this on every single class. This isn't like exclusive to any class. Avoiding getting hit by just like your positioning. So like let's go up to this group of enemies. Just like doing stuff like this. Like just like moving off to the side. So let's like attack the space captain, for example. Just like moving off to the side like this can make you passively harder to hit. You can still get hit, but it reduces the probability you get hit. And you can always do like hit and run tactics where you just like run up to something, smack it with the combat art, start dodging. Dodging to the side is really good. Dodging and getting crits is obviously really good. Okay. So this class overall has good damage output, armor breaks, and good overall mobility. Less mobility than Assassin, which I think is fair. Higher damage output, or I'm sorry, damage per hit than Assassin. It's really hard to tell who has higher damage because Assassin attacks really fast, and this class can also attack pretty fast. And both have like random crits. Like their damage seems kind of similar. This class seems to dominate enemies more. It seems to be like more crowd control, just because of its mechanics. Whereas Assassin does seem to be maybe a little bit more damage, but it's honestly hard to tell because like once you get to a certain point in endgame, things just die so fast. But this class will melt enemies for sure, and it has very few weaknesses. So there's not really a downside of using it. It's pretty fun to play. The combo mechanics of building up your, like charging up your future heavy attacks with the fully charged class action are pretty cool. I enjoy it. It's a good class to have on like a spear class. So like let's say you have a unit that's like a Cav or a Paladin or whatever, or a Pegasus Knight, and you want to have another option. It's not a bad option to have because if there's a bunch of things that counter like horses, counter flying, counter like spears, like let's say there's a bunch of axes on the map, you can switch to a sword class and counter them instead. So it's pretty good to run for that reason. I tend to run it on Ingrid, who I usually make like a Pegasus Knight or a Falcon Knight long term. Okay, so let's go over the class abilities, kind of wrap up. So let's retreat. It's a pretty good advanced class, though. Like, there's very little downside to it. It has good damage output, good mobility. Like, you can't really go wrong. Alright, so let's go to Convoy. So this one is pretty simple. There's not too much to it for the class abilities. You have Boost Critical, which increases your crit rate. Sometimes you either get Boost Critical or Speed +5. This can be good just to get the Speed +5, especially when you get 10 ability slots for units who aren't going to be this class. You also have Expert Guard, makes it easier to perform Perfect Guard. You have Provoke, enemies attack you more frequently. You have Finesse, Blade / Mortal Struggle, these are both combat arts. Mortal Struggle causes the stun gauge to appear when you attack, which is extremely useful in a class that's very good at breaking stun, like at breaking armor, so pretty useful. You have Apex Sword, this increases crit damage with the sword, and then you have Astra, the crazy attack that attacks, you slash 5 times. It's the big meme from Three Houses that everyone's like how to break your sword instantly and shit. So if you look at some of these other ones, like Mercedes, she gets speed +5. So that could be useful just to grab speed +5. And then Annette, Expert Guard. But it's pretty much either Boost Critical, speed +5, Expert Guard for the first slot. It's usually Provoke for the second. Finesse, Blade, Mortal Struggle for the third. Astra, if they only have 4. Some units have 5 slots for this. Some have 4. I think it depends on if they're like good at it. So like you can see here, Shez also has 5. But there you go. That's pretty much it for Swordmaster. It's not really too much else to say about it. There are some advantages to running swords in general. Like there's some good swords. Like I don't know that Rapier is good for endgame, but it counters armor and it counters horses. And horses tend to be a spear class, but if you use a Rapier against them, it's very effective. So sword tends to be one of the things that counters a lot of things and has very few weaknesses, so it can be useful to run these. Like if you look at this map, you can see these units have like some problems, but let's switch them out for like
Time to go to work.
other things just to see like what kind of weaknesses show up. So there might be some horse counter on here. Let's see, let's find an axe unit if we have one. I don't think we do. Oh, I know Dedue's axe. These are probably archers. Yeah, snipers. So you can see there's like no... In this case, there's no weaknesses or advantages, but that's totally fine. It's totally viable. There's a lot of archers. So to do as a weakness, so he could dismount or switch to something else. But overall, good damage output, good mobility. As to whether or not it's better than Assassin, I feel like it does have more damage than Assassin. Like, let's compare. Let's actually just run Assassin really quick. It might be like almost exactly the same. Alright, we have to switch the wisdoms out. Get rid of appraisal. Alright, let's test this really quick. I'm just curious. I'm gonna fight some things and just try to compare.
Stay strong. We can win this.
I mean, it does seem pretty similar. Like, Assassin's definitely faster in terms of mobility, so it's easier to dodge things. And similar to Swordmaster, it also can attack rapidly to break armor when it appears. Wait, why is this dodge so weird? Seems like bad for some reason. Alright, let's try fighting this Stronghold Captain. It actually has pretty good damage output. I mean, I never said it didn't though. Like in my Assassin video, I definitely cover. Like I definitely think it has good damage output. Alright, now let's compare that. Actually, let's kill one more enemy, just kind of get a feel for it. It says they both have like high random crits. This definitely is like way faster. There's no doubt about that. I'm like zooming around the map. Like you're very unlikely to get hit by things. Yeah, this honestly Assassin might be a little bit better, but alright, let's retreat. Assassin's pretty crazy. There's no doubt about that. That shit's fast, dude. I'm like zooming around the map. Like the other thing to consider too with Assassin is when you attack, you move so much distance. So like you're gonna be dodging way more efficiently, and you're gonna be dodging more attacks in general. Alright, that's fine. Alright, did I just accidentally... Hold on. Make sure I didn't unequip something good for despoil. Oh no, we're fine. Okay. Alright, let's try Swordmaster now. Let's see how fast we can kill something. We'll try to kill 3 things.
Onward to victory.
I think Assassin does have more damage output. But it might be too early to tell. It does seem pretty similar. So let's see. Alright, that died pretty quick. Let's go after the Stronghold Captain. Yeah, it's pretty similar damage. I mean, maybe it's slightly better in some cases, slightly worse, but the damage is very similar. If you're gonna play one of them, I would say Assassin's probably more optimal, but Swordmaster is totally viable. But yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks for checking this out, and oh yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. And now, peace.